Aloha and welcome. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about multiple function outputs. We talked in an earlier lesson about functions and how functions return a single value. Well, sometimes we need to get more than just a single value out. So there are ways around the limitation that we have here. We can use things, I think I mentioned this before too, you can use a container to return something that contains multiple values. So you can return a tuple, you can return a list, you can return even a dictionary if you wanted to. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'm going to pull up, let's see, VS Chrome here, or VS Chrome, what I'm saying, VS Code, and we're going to look at an example. So let's think of something that we would want to do. Let's say we've got a mathematical function and we want to return the square and also the cube of a number. So let's start off with defining, let's call it square and cube. And we'll take a parameter of x that we're going to take and do that too. So we're going to set up a return as, let's say, x to the second power. That would return a single value, but we want to do two values. We're going to do x to the third as well. So now let's try making this into a tuple. So we'll do this as a tuple, and we have to actually run it. So let's type in square and cube, and we'll test it on the number 2, and that should give us 4 and 8. So 2 to the 2 is 4, 2 to the 3 is 8. So we'll run this, and we got nothing. And why did we get nothing? Because we didn't print it out. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go ahead and print square and cube. And let's see what happens here. We get a tuple of 4 and 8. We can also make this into a handy dandy little list. So we'll go in here and change that to a list and run it. And the same thing, we get a list. We can do something ridiculous if you want to. If you want to make this complicated, we can turn this into a dictionary. And with a dictionary, we'd have to give it not just values, but we also need to have keys here. So we'll say square is going to be that value, and we're going to have cube, and that's going to be this value here. So now when we print it, it comes back, square is 4 and cube is 8. So we returned a dictionary from here. So this is all well and good, but let's go ahead and make this simple, and I'm just going to make a list of it. So I'll delete these other, hello. I'll go ahead and delete the other items that I've put in here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, now we have just a simple list. So we can print out a simple list. Well, now that we've done that, we've got to make use of those values on the other end. And this is where we have something called unpacking. We've talked about unpacking in the past. Unpacking is simply an operation that allows you to get multiple values out of some type of a container. And just as we packed it together up here, we're going to do the reverse of it over here, which is unpacking. So we're going to take the square and the cube. We're going to call one the square, and we're going to call the other the cube, and we set it equal to the result from here, square and cube. And we'll put this up here. So that should give us square for the first value and cube for the second value. And then over here, we can simply print square. And then over here, we can print cube. And if this works, ta-da, we get the square value, which is 4, and the cube value, which is 8. So we can always change that value here to 3 and see what happens. We get 9 and 27. So 3 squared is going to be 9. 3 to the third power is going to be 27. So this is how it works. So we've got the packing everything up here, and then we have the unpacking over here at the other end. So this is how we get multiple values out of functions. We pack it, and then we unpack it. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to ask me, send me an email. If you need in-depth help, we can set up a Zoom session. So reach out, feel free. And if you have no questions, I'll see you in the next lesson. Enjoy.